Historically, public space agencies have defined space exploration. As of now, in 2022, 77 countries have space agencies.
For the first sort of 50 years of NASA's existence, NASA was the customer and the private sector was the supplier.
Now, billionaires are fundamentally changing the public's relationship with space.
We've seen the rise of a lot of small companies and startups like ours that establishes a whole ecosystem.
And a booming space economy in Colorado and beyond is really starting to take off.
Moving manufacturing off of our planet, creating opportunity and future for everybody, that's what I want to see.
I'm Krajnovic.
And I'm Myrna James.
It's time to go behind the wings. So in this episode, we're going to explore the question, how is a growing space economy changing what's possible in space? To start, we talked with Phil McAllister, NASA's director of the Commercial Spaceflight Division for Space Operations.
When we first started talking about shifting some of the responsibility for low Earth orbit onto the private sector, I think there was definitely a sentiment within some parts of NASA that we were giving up something that was special and core to our mission. And over time, I think that sentiment has really reduced as people have realized that if we were always limited to NASA's budget for what we could do, we would always be somewhat constrained. For the first sort of 50 years of NASA's existence, we kind of interacted with the private sector one way, which is NASA was the customer and the private sector was the supplier. So we would write very detailed requirements, we would make all the decisions about the spacecraft or the transportation vehicle, and then we would hand those to the private sector and say, go build this. And we would be sort of in charge, we would make all the decisions, and we would own the resulting hardware. But today, what we found is the commercial space industry, which is an industry looking to sell not just to the federal government, but to other organizations and to other just consumers. When you have a thriving commercial space industry, it doesn't necessarily make sense for NASA to build everything from scratch. We can leverage the capabilities in the private sector. That's kind of what we mean by commercial space. And I think just within the last 10 years, these kind of partnerships have become possible.
Previously, the space industry has been very large company driven. You've got your large primes and government contractors, and that was how it was for 50 years. As technology has increased and as the price and cost of getting to space have decreased, that has enabled many more businesses that now can close their financial model. You've seen the rise of a lot of small companies and startups like ours who see needs in the market and needs that the industry has, and we're able to meet them in ways that larger companies it might be more difficult to. And so that establishes a whole ecosystem of everything from single-person startups all the way up to 1,000-person companies.
Dylan Taylor, thank you so much for being here with us. You, I think, have more passion for space than anyone I've ever met. So you're currently the founder and chairman of Voyager Space Holdings. Tell us a little bit about the company.
Voyager Space is really purpose-built to help scale what we call new space, which is the innovative entrepreneurial sector of the space industry.
There's obviously a lot of collaboration in space, but what role does competition play?
Well, I think the market forces help, right? I mean, I think SpaceX was born out of competition with the Russian Soyuz rocket, with Boeing, with Lockheed, and because of that, they were able to attract third-party capital and invest and innovate. So I think it's really important. I think the market forces work. When space was purely a nation-state opportunity, you didn't see the level of innovation. We certainly didn't see rocket reusability. And now we even have things like launch as a service, where customers just simply pay to be inserted into a particular orbit. We are in a renaissance for the industry. The level of innovation is just shocking, and I expect more to come.
This is a graph of the investment totals in space. Just look at that graph. I mean, it's straight up practically. In the past 20 years, the global space economy it's grown from just over 1 billion to over 16 billion. That's huge.
Yeah, in investment in space, private space companies.
And then to get a sense of where this is going, this is looking at the future. Here we are, 2022, and the chart just goes straight up.
So the global space economy is expected to grow 4.5% in the next 25 years, and that's exponential growth, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon.
When you look at it like this, it makes it seem like we're really just at the beginning of things today.
Mm-hmm.